Hey everybody, I'm here. I'm Sunburnt. Let's review Weekly Shonen Jump. You guys know the drill. I give my thoughts on the chapters. I don't review all the chapters. I've already dropped some of the series. Those will appear right now. Yeah, those ones I've already moved on from. But I'm going to be reviewing all the other ones, and then I will give my thoughts going from my least favorite chapter to the most favorite chapter. So let's jump right into it. We start this week with last place, and that is Class 2B Hero Destroyerz. Full disclosure, I actually didn't mind this chapter. I thought it was fine. I actually thought that it was funny in a way. I thought that it was interesting that they sort of went all in on this like PTA joke. Yeah, didn't really know where that was coming from, and also I find it kind of funny because typically in high school things they kind of forget that the parents even exist. So, thought that was funny, but I think that we're setting up a kind of big overarching fight thing going on. They kind of went into the Perona thing where they, were making everybody feel like they were useless and not able to do things. Broke some fourth wall in there, talking about the panels and things like that, which I thought was, fine and funny. Looks like the hero is still alive somehow. But then, some other, Sora looking guy comes in and gets everything. And then, yeah, I don't know. Like there was definitely some things that were funny. It just, I don't know. Like so far this series, um, it hasn't really been for me. It hasn't been scratching the itch that I think it wants to scratch. It's not bad. I think it's fine, and I think that even though this was, it just happened to be in last place, I don't necessarily think it was that bad. So, am I okay to keep reading it? Yeah, for sure. Coming in at next to last is Drawn to the Fire, and we have a conclusion to the scrimmage. The basketball boys have come in. They have played the whole game somehow. We've missed most of it, but that doesn't stop our characters from thinking back on the very particular things that happened previously and sort of have trauma as they're going. We get a little bit of backstory with the childhood friend, a little bit more of that, which was, cute and kind of plays up this romance angle a little bit in a way that is making you kind of wish that she was more involved in the story, honestly. But I thought that the basketball was fine. I think that they're taking an interesting take on this point guard character and what he can do and his abilities. I don't think that it's wrong per se, but it is. It's going to be interesting to see if they're able to continually build up these other teams' characters and the other characters on the team themselves. Because we're still pretty early on, don't have much of a sense of the other people, and so I would like some of that. Our two main guys, we kind of have an idea of who they are, but I think they could do a little bit more of building them up as we go forward. So, fine chapter from Drawn to the Fire. Let's see where we go from here. Coming up next, talk about penthouse to outhouse kind of things is Underdoctor. Yeah, so came in pretty low this week, and I think one of the main reasons for that is that this was mainly a setup chapter. So we're setting up what looks like it's going to be the next arc. He's talking to the friend who's like his main motivator for doing doing what he's doing. And then we get this really strange character who's like very into making everyone uncomfortable and also sexually harassing people. So, yeah, I mean, that's lovely and definitely not a trope that I wanted to see hang around. Even if he gets his well-deserved slap, not great to be doing that. And then we get to learn about this evil organization that is apparently trying to gain the secrets to immortality, as you do, and how our underdoctor and this pervert sexual offender are going to work together to, try to get more information, try to go after him. And then our underdoctor shows up in disguise and is apparently going to be, Samurai Cameroon, come in here and do some nonsense. Yeah, I mean, I understand this is kind of building up to what's likely going to be an arc, but honestly, like it's the like fighting is not really what I'm looking for in this series, and I know that they're kind of expanding into this world a little bit, and I guess that's fine, and I'm more than willing to see where they go with this, but I would have been fine if they kept doing more like medical one shots, and I know that some other people may disagree with me, but at least for me personally, that's what I was looking for. So Under Doctor, I think, is going to be just a little low this week. Coming in next, we have Hima-Ten. All right, so this chapter was I don't want to say it was nothing because it really wasn't, but it was basically Himari and her business coach kind of talking through her relationship with Iamori as they were doing this photo shoot to kind of go over what Iamori does for her, which I kind of it's understandable why she's doing that, but she's kind of talking him up and doing all these things, and then her business manager comes in and says like, hey, you're cutting this guy out and not even giving it a shot, like, what are you doing? And she's like, hey, I know that they, he and Kanai are they're they like each other, even though they're not really talking about it, and they're waiting a month to see what happens. But then she's like, hey, you can throw your hat in the ring because guess what, your name's on the title of this thing, so just go ahead and do it. And look what it is, Iamori, he's still here, he couldn't leave because he needs to drag out the runtime on this, I guess. Look, it's it was fine, I guess. I mean, I find myself a little frustrated that they're just kind of making Iamori like dragging Himari along. I mean, if he's really gonna go for Kanai, like he should just do it, and like they both know. But I think it's not doing Himari any sort of service to just drag this out in this way, because it's gonna make people frustrated one way or another. Like either he's gonna end up with her or not, and if you know if he ends up with Himari at this point, it'll make all the fans of Kanai mad. If he ends up with Kanai, it'll make all the fans of Himari mad. And like I know that that's a normal thing for these sort of harem type animes, but I think that they're kind of doing this in like the least amount of finesse way possible. They're just kind of keeping things going for the sake of it, and yeah, so it's going to be a lower end of the spectrum for me, because other than just kind of putzing around with this thing, I just didn't feel like it was that memorable of a chapter. And then coming in at next is Kinato's Magic. And this was fairly high, I think, for Kinato's Magic. We're getting close to the top 10 here. And I just genuinely like this chapter. I mean, I think that it was fun enough to go through, and we're kind of really, our main boy Kinato here is really trying to figure out how to be a fighter, and everybody, literally everybody, the universe, the world, and everyone is telling him, hey dude, just be a support. Like literally this is what you were made for, you could do this. We're still getting these kind of funny like I'm a pure maiden gags, which were fine. And then we just get this, he we're in Kinato's mind, and he gets this little brain blast where he's like, hey, maybe if I can figure out this thing to do support on myself, I can figure this out. And so he's like, hey, just attack me out of the blue. Once he is getting his brain blast for the Seitei magic, she obliges, but he's able to block the attack, using his powers. And maybe this means now that he'll be able to do some things with him for himself. Which again, I'm annoyed that they're going down this route, but if they're going down this route, then, whatever, I'm just going to have to deal with it. And then, we get this little gag here at the end. So like it was enjoyable. Am I still annoyed that they're going down this path? Yes. Like you don't need to do this. You could have him hit a wall and say, "Hey, look, it's impossible," and go back to what we were doing. I would sing your praises the whole way. I'd say, "All right, we tried it and didn't work," but they're gonna try their best to make him a typical shonen protagonist and solve everything himself and screw the support. That'll only be here for little side gags every now and then, which is disappointing. Next up, we have Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, and we have the end of the arc with Bobo and everybody. It's the big celebration after the end of the fight, which was nice. Shishido comes back, and his Deus Ex Machina ability that's just able to do anything is also able to eat up damage, apparently, to some degree affecting him, but really not, given how much damage this guy probably had and how much he supposedly took away from him. But we learned that Shishido was the exorcist that was saved by Bobo's mom, which I guess you could have kind of called a mile away. And it made sense as to why he was so friendly with demons and wanted to hang out with them and everything that he was doing. But he just describes that was the reason. And then Bobo has this realization that, he kind of took all the wrong lessons from what his mom was trying to teach him. And then as our gang go back to the actual world, we find out that that Pumpsy, that dad is still alive, and it's like, bro, he was just a hole. Like all of this was a hole. Like, how is this guy alive? They find out, they get some magical MacGuffin butterfly that can apparently save anything, and he used that to save his dad, which cute, but like. that was silly. We see the end of we see the party at the end, and then we see the demon without her gas mask, and she's cute. It was a nice little wrap up conclusion to what our team here has been doing. So let's see what the next arc brings. But ultimately, I think that this has been a fairly good arc for Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. I know I've had my I have had my reservations with some of the previous chapters. I've kind of felt that it was dragging itself and being a little bit tedious and kind of samey, but I do think that generally how they've built up the world of the demon world and the interactions between the various factions within the demon world has been interesting. And how Asher Roth's absence has affected the demon world, I think, has been interesting to see. And putting aside some of the like overpoweredness of the characters that we've been seeing, I think it was interesting to see a little bit more about how Kiyoshi fights and a little bit more explanation about what he's able to do. I think that was valuable. So let's see where the series goes from here. Coming in next, we have Witch Watch, and the games are apparently beginning, and this game seems to be almost not something that can be controlled by the Warlock. I say almost, kind of entirely it's not controlled by the Warlock. It's controlled by her magic itself. The magic comes up with the game, it comes up with the rules, and the rules seem to not necessarily favor anybody at all. But given the fact that she has spent so much time playing these games with people, she kind of knows how to work the system a bit. The game that they are playing, I think, is fairly interesting given the fact that they're not able to talk to each other, and they get penalized if they do. So you kind of have to know who your partner is and how they're going to play, and then that can determine how you play. Or you can just take the penalty, in the first coming, just to give, just to have the big strategy session right off the bat, which is what the other warlocks do. They do take the penalty, but they are able to figure out what they're going to do, apparently. And Miharu, unfortunately, is paired with a drunkard dragon who doesn't, who isn't really thinking at the same level as Miharu is. Miharu is playing all the same cards that these guys are playing, and that is causing some problems because it makes it so they lose the cards that they would need to win. So the dragon, unfortunately, is not really helping him at all. So Miharu is going to have to do this all on his own. So we'll see. We'll see how our favorite vampire is going to get himself out of this. I thought it was fine. Fine chapter. I think that the game is interesting enough, if fairly straightforward. Next up, we have Someone Hurts. And guys, I think I overreacted last week. I shouldn't say I think, I know I overreacted last week. The main reason that I put that where it was because I just kind of thought that the series would be ending, given how things were being written. And you know what? I'll just say, this chapter didn't really change my mind. So the main reason why I have, unconvinced myself that I think that they're ending this series is because they got the color page spreads. Usually series that have color page spreads means that they're popular, means that the editors believe in them and is giving them this opportunity to do the color page spread, which I actually thought was really cute, and I liked it a lot. And so given that, I now believe that they meaning the editors, believe in Someone Hurts. They're not going to end it anytime soon, which makes me feel really good. But I'm just getting so many ending flags from this chapter and previous chapters, because we get pretty much Mime's entire backstory as to why he follows the radio show, which was really heartfelt and really meaningful, and kind of goes into his psyche about how he was anticipating all of these reactions to him not going for the prestigious high school that he was going to go for, which I think they called it like Elite High or something, which I was, is like fairly straightforward. And that he, one night as he was studying and couldn't fall asleep, he listens to the radio show that happens to be on at the time, which was Monmid, and he hears one of the responses that Mizuo sent in, and feels a sort of appreciation of the fact that somebody that his age is as funny as she is and is kind of working as hard towards this thing, and it makes him feel some type of way. And then we see that his anxiety was all for naught, and that he sees the first interactions that we get with Mizuo. We also get a last name drop, Fukumori. I maybe they mentioned that in the first chapter. I don't remember that, but to me, he's Mime. She's Mizuo. But yeah, so he also gets one of his responses read, and that makes Mizuo happy, and Mizuo is there and she's rooting for him as he is trying to win this rookie competition. So I'm here to support for him. Still feels it's giving me weird vibes. I don't know why. It's good. It's good. I just don't know why I feel like it's gonna end. Please don't end. Please, for my sake, don't. Coming in next, we have Kagurabachi, and this chapter was very interesting because it was dropping a lot of world and story stuff. It's dropping how the enchanted blades are made, process through which they are able to manifest and control powers and abilities. We kind of get a little bit more of that. There's this discussion about how they were going to even do it in the first place. We learn about the birth of the flame bone user and how their entire strategy of defense for this, big clan of sorcerers that they were not aware of, who they have strong reason to believe have some sort of immortality or power, is to stake all of their hopes on a 1 year old baby. A 1 year old baby who they assume is able to use flame bone. And you're like, yes, she is, but she will be a 1 year old baby. And they're like, yep, that sounds good. That sounds good. They'll be able to wield the flame bone as a baby, and that will save us. And like, they're like, oh, we'll have to buy time for that to happen. And their brilliant strategy to buy time is to send off Chiaki to placate them until they're able to get their 1 year old baby to use flame bone. But that doesn't sit well with Rokuhiro, obviously, because he's been sending Chiaki letters secretly for years and years. And even though she had to stop that from happening, she hasn't stopped feeling the way that she feels. And they decide, you know what, we're gonna shelve the enchanted blade plan. Let's send her off to be wedded and have the kid, because you know what, we got a baby. We got a baby that can use flame bone. But look at that. Look at Rokuhiro. He's like, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that nonsense. We're not going to stake everything about our world on a literal baby. I'm going to make some magic swords. I mean, what is this plan? They're like, oh, we just have to wait a year and then the baby will be ready. Oh, like it's so silly. It's so silly. But it was good. I liked the character building. I liked all the discussion that was going on. I do think that was good. It just, their plan is stupid. Coming in next, we have a Blue Box, and the game continues between Taiki and Yusa. They are going back and forth, and Chinatsu still believes in him, obviously. And, Taiki is kind of going through the roster of folks and saying how everybody has supported him on his way along. We got Kyo, we got Hina, we got even, obviously we got Chinatsu. Chinatsu is a very key figure in his growth. And, it's a lot of just like what's going on in Taiki's head and what has motivated him to get to this point. And, we just see him start to make his comeback, and he does end up taking a game from Yusa, from the big man himself. So we will be seeing a final game. And I mean, it's we're setting the stage. The big bout, the big showdown is going to a third game. It is not going to be a clean sweep by Yusa. Let's see our boy Taiki, with the power of Chinatsu's love, come out on top. Coming in at, I believe we're at 6 now, Shinobi Undercover. And they, speaking of covers, have another color cover. And this chapter I thought was going to be a kind of like denouement, like we're going to do a lot of talking, we're going to be a lot of discussing what was going on. But that really was not what happened, because the slime mold is here, and it is this cute little sluggy looking thing. And that is going to be interesting to see what that means going forward. And Yodaka is kind of, being reflective and thinking about things, which is not what Yodaka typically does, when all of a sudden one of the big ninjas apparently comes in and wipes our gang and says, hey, I'm gonna take Yodaka, we're gonna go off and we're gonna have a big ninja gathering with all the big ninjas, because this guy is in squad 2, he's really strong. And so we're gonna, I guess, see a lot of the heads of all the ninja families. We're gonna get a big roster call, which is gonna be fun. So a little bit more heavy implications for this chapter than I was expecting. So it was fun to the more I learn about the other ninjas who are around, I enjoy learning more about them. So anything I can get from them is I'm a fan of. So this chapter was rated fairly high this week. Coming in at number 5, we have a surprise: Roku's House of Oddities. So I have been a big fan of this series since it has started, and that has only continued. And this chapter in particular was a very, very fun, very funny little, found family moment where these two guys, the Count and guy with the mask, Kibunaji, don't I'm a little tough on his name, but they go to stand in as Roku's guardians for a kind of parent teacher conference that is going on at the school, and they just have a grand old time and have a lot of fun while they're there. The Johan, that was the one guy's name. Johan is going there being all like a king, and guy in the mask is there being all like a soldier, and they're just trying to help out, and they're causing all the stir with the ladies. And that we find out that there's this big crisis in the cafeteria, and they each help in their own ways. Soldier comes in and does a lot of prep, and then Johan decides, like, hey, I'm gonna inject these ladies with the power of the Pillar Men. They get JoJo power. They're just like, oh, we're all buff and powerful now. It was really fun. It was really fun. I had a lot of fun with this chapter. It was really funny. The gags were great. The character emotions were really fun. I just really enjoy this series. Like, it is good. It is just good, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. So I'm not surprised that it ended up number 5 out of my rankings. I laughed a lot. I had a lot of fun. You should read this series. If you're not reading this series, you should. It's good. Coming in at number 4, we have Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days. We're back to being great, guys. I mean, look at this. Like, we have such crazy artwork being done. And it's not just the backgrounds. I think the characters are actually done really well, and the fights are getting really cool. I mean, the fight going on between this musician and between Sheen, our boy, it's been really fun, and they're blowing a bunch of stuff up and doing all the Sakamoto Days craziness in ways that I find really, really fun and really exciting. And he's turning the tables against the Music Man in every way that he can. And, like, yeah, some of this action did get a little rough at the end, but I didn't necessarily mind that. It kind of fit with the vibes, and I thought that the overall chapter was just at such a high level that I was fine with it, ending it at a little bit of a rough phase. And look at Sheen. Look at our boy Sheen. He's taking it. He's taking this Music Man to the cleaners, and I love that. I love that for him. Good chapter from Sakamoto Days this week. Coming in at number 3, we have One Piece. So we are going into Brook's backstory, which I suppose it was something that should have been on my radar of things that we could have been doing, given that the only backstory that we really had of Brook was after he was like a full-on adult and was off doing his pirating. We didn't get to see Brook's childhood, and it turns out that he had as rough of a childhood as any of our other found family straw hats. He grew up as basically a street urchin, and he learned the ways of music by looking in at school to see what people were doing. He builds his own instruments, and through chance, he meets the prince of the nation, who like to listen to him play and just like to hang out with him. And they just kind of are buds. And he doesn't, Brooke doesn't know that he's now best buds with, one of the crown princes, but this helps him out whenever he gets confused for a drug mule and is about to be killed by the Navy, because of course the Navy is corrupt. That the prince comes in and rescues him, and then the prince and who is eventually going to be the queen, they just come in, beat up the Navy, and are like, you know what? I don't care if the world government comes after us. They go ahead, come after us if you want. Like, you got. And then we see the crown prince, who eventually becomes the king, just being an awesome dude. Like, they're just great guys. Another one of the great monarchs, I suppose. But clearly something must have happened that caused this situation to not be good, because Brooke is not the musician of the court anymore. He became a pirate at a certain point for reasons that I am sure we will see as we go forward, and I'm sure it's not going to be good. Going against the world government tends to not work out for people. But I think it's been fun. It's been fun backstory. When will Usopp get his day? Usopp is struggling in the Elbath arc, in the arc that was literally his whole motivation for going out to be a pirate. He's struggling. He's struggling for screen time. And coming up second this week is Akane-Banashi. I'm not going to put Akane-Banashi 3 times in first place, though I was tempted. No, this week they come in second. We are introduced to more about Kaisai and his relationship with Isho, which was interesting to hear. Funny that Isho has the same taste in hats as his former brother, who he now despises, Shiguma, which I found was funny. But we see that as Kaisai is coming up, things are getting pretty tense in there. I mean, a lot of these folks, one, they're not big Rakugo fans to begin with, but two, Akane has just blown their doors off. I mean, this guy is up against it. He's got a crowd that is like, we already heard this story. Why do we need to hear it again? I mean, look at this. Look at this. It is depicted so well, the vibes in the room, and you can just feel that it is not a room that is ready to be blow their doors off. But Kaisai, he's not going to stand for that. Like, he's not going to let Akane just run the show. He is ready. He's ready to go. And you know what? I'm ready to see it. Like, I want Akane to win, of course I do, but I'm very interested to see how Kaisai is gonna take this story, what he's gonna do with it. I know there's a speculation. Tend to agree with the speculation, but let's see what happens. And then first this week, coming in number 1, Ichi the Witch. Ichi the Witch gets back up to the top. And you know what? The first half of this chapter, I did not think this was going to be a number 1 chapter. It was a pretty straightforward, it's very good. You get the scene with Amadoro, and you get to see the Magic Keepers doing their thing, and those guys look tough, man. I mean, they look the part. They're taking Amadoro out. Ichi's kind of wanting to get in there because it's his instincts, but then his friends are keeping him back and saying like, hey, don't do that. Magic Keepers are doing their thing. We get a little bit more of like the politics between the Magic Keepers and the witches, which was interesting. But again, at this point of the chapter, I'm not thinking that it's going to be a number 1 chapter. Like, I think we have a very solid, like, going to be top 3 maybe chapter. And, we see Amadora here and she's like, I cannot keep my promise. And you're like, what's going on? Oh, Creepy Witch is just here. And then you're like, oh my gosh, how's everybody going to react? This was the person that they've been hyping up this whole time, is like, yeah, she's this awful, crazy person that we're all going after. And then, wait, Destroyerz, what are you doing? Wait, Marigold, what are you doing? Wait, Ichi, Kamugi, what are you doing? Why is it that you're just like, oh yeah, she's just here, she's fine, we all expected her to be here, she's our friend, whatever, and she's coming in, and it's like, what is going on? And then you're like, wait a minute, it's her magic. And then you're like, holy crap, what is going on? Whoa, whoa, you're telling me she is powerful enough to convince all of these other folks that they're like her best friends? These are all like the most powerful people in the series. And now main magic keeper dude, who as the comments were saying, his stocks are rising like nobody else, and he's like, I'm gonna take her on 1v1. I'm not even gonna take just her on 1v1. We're going everybody. I'm sweeping them. Like, oh my gosh, this chapter was crazy. So we learn more about her powers and how, like, I mean, she can take out she can take over Ichi, Destroyerz, all of them. Like, this is nuts. Oh, this was easily a number one chapter once I got to that part, because I was sitting here like, Ichi, what are you doing? Descarez, what are you doing? This was literally the person that, not like 3 chapters ago, we were saying this girl is like a serial killer murderer. And now we kind of start to see why, and seeing her powers in action. And I guess she'd never done this to any of these people before, but yes, she has the ability to take over people's minds and what's going on. And you know what? That's probably what happened to Amidoro. That is probably exactly what happened to Amidoro, and why she did anything that she did was this power. So this was awesome. Like, this was an awesome chapter, and easily a number one. And it just is going back to what makes Ichi the Witch so good, and it's making this villain just so creepy, because it's different than the other ones. I mean, it's kind of similar to the one where he makes you happy all the time. You give him your anxieties and your stresses, and then you just forget about the bad things. Like, that one had this kind of psychological horror creepiness, but this one is taking that in a little bit different direction, where it's like you are forced to love her even though she is just evil, like evil incarnate, and she just is really psyching that up. So yeah, I thought that it was a very good chapter. Very good chapter from Each of the Witch this week. And that is going to be it for my review. I think that generally across the board, these series did a very good job this week. I don't think there was a lot of duds. Of the ones that I reviewed, I think that they were all pretty good. Even the one that I have in last place, To Be Hero Destroyerz, I thought it was fine. Like, I think it's fine. I don't think it was bad. I think it has good things about it. It made me laugh, but like, I had to put it in last because it just happened to be last. And sometimes there are weeks like that where there's one that's just happens to be last. But I think across the board, we had a fairly good week this week. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for your patience and how long this has been getting. Thank you for your patience and how long it's been taking me to get these out. Today I was really busy doing other things, but my kid's been sick recently. So that's been taking me more time, but I appreciate you guys watching and listening to me ramble about Shonen Jump. See y'all again next week.